quick about war powers?
Yeah, sure.
So we're expecting to see a vote today.
Maybe. It's still a little bit unclear.
President Trump was very vocal yesterday against some of the Republican senators that voted.
Yeah, why would the president decide he wanted to treat Republican senators badly for just voting that we shouldn't send our sons and daughters into war without a vote of Congress? That's what the Constitution requires. And if the president feels so righteous about the mission, he shouldn't be worried about having a public debate on the floor of the Senate. But I think what he's worried about is he does not want a public debate. That's why everything so far has been classified, because a public debate starts to get into questions like the legal rationale and some of the other decisions that the White House would prefer to keep hidden.
What is your read on Republicans who voted with you last time?
Yeah, I assume every Republican who voted with me will vote with me again, and they
to
won't change their mind. I've talked to a number of them. You can talk to them about where they are, but they voted not against an operation in Venezuela, and I made plain my motion was not about the arrest of Maduro. And I wouldn't, if that was all this was, I wouldn't even have called it up for a vote. And I made that plain, and my colleagues said, we're not voting against that there may be some need in Venezuela, but all we're saying is if we need to put our sons and daughters into military action against or within Venezuela, it ought to be approved by Congress and not just by the president.
This is a bit wonky, but can you walk us through what's happening procedurally with your motion?
No, I think they're trying to contemplate whether, just based on public report.
Right.
So this is not from
and
conversation.
Which is what I've heard too, which is what I was
They're trying to contemplate, would they do a parliamentary inquiry that under the War Powers resolution, this is not, quote, hostilities that should trigger a vote, because it's all over. See, there's nothing more going on. But hold on a second. The U.S. is interdicting Venezuelan oil and crippling the Venezuelan economy, and the U.S. is deciding who should be the president of Venezuela, not the opposition that just won the election, but Maduro's henchman VP. And the U.S. is pretending to decide when the timing might be right in the far distant future for Venezuelans to elect their own government. And the U.S. is controlling all Venezuelan oil, and every dollar is going into an account that the U.S. controls. And the president has said he's even going to make the decision about what U.S. Energy companies which are allowed to invest in Venezuela. So this is not just the arrest of Maduro and the extraction. If that were the case, this whole thing would be over, and it's not over. And so that's, that I think they're trying to decide, is there no hostilities now? But we're still both striking Venezuelan boats in open water, and we're seizing Venezuelan oil and harming their economy.
And what's your reaction to the president's comments that the U.S. is going to seize control of Greenland, either the easy way or the hard way, especially in light of what Rubio told you guys last week, that there's not a military action plan towards Greenland?
We don't believe that. Now, I didn't believe it to begin with. We were told, and I think we were frankly lied to by the administration, there's no regime change plan. This isn't about interdiction of oil. There's no plan to put troops on the ground in Venezuela. When they were telling us that, they were running exercises to do the very thing. And that has led to a lot of anger among members, especially on the Armed Services Committee. I mean, look, we are voting for robust defense budgets every year. We're voting to have the militaries back, and what, you're gonna lie to us? And so when the president is making threats about Greenland and Denmark, you got to take him seriously, because it's not just, it proved not to be just empty words with Venezuela, so you can't assume it's empty words with Greenland and Denmark, and that's why you're likely to see war powers votes with respect to that issue and other nations as well, once we're through the Venezuela vote. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank
Denmark is good. You should use that.